welcome to class number 1 for my house in Yoga for Athletes with myself, Christine Davidson. Today's class is going to focus on the foot. I'm going to start with a little bit of a presentation about the muscles, the tendons, the ligaments that enable us to support our body weight and move in all the incredibly diverse ways that we can move as athletes. Now, the reason I start from the ground up is a lot of your sports involve supporting your body weight in an upright posture, and so the foot is going to be a really important part of the body that we need to support the health of. So I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm just going to show you a couple of muscles in particular that are really important to stretch and strengthen so that the mechanics of the foot operate optimally. So I'm going to get underneath a few things here. Incidentally, the metatarsal bursa. If you have ever experienced foot pain in this area, often after wearing a bad pair of shoes, maybe improperly fitted ski boots, ice skates, that is often just inflammation of the metatarsal bursa. Notice that a lot of this connective tissue, the tendons, they connect the toes, the 4 outer toes as a unit, and you have other muscles that are specialized just to manipulate the big toe or the pinky toe. I want to get underneath all of this stuff to show you something. So, if you're curious about this anatomy software, this is by a company called Visible Body, and this is the Muscle Premium version. Getting underneath all of this stuff, here we go. This is what I want to show you. These two muscles that kind of look like an upside down number 7, the adductor hallucis oblique head and transverse head. Now, what happens when we wear restrictive footwear? Ski boots, cross-country ski boots, ice skates can all be examples of footwear that restricts the natural movements of the foot. Over time, a boot that squeezes these toes together will cause a shortening of these two muscles, and that affects the mechanics of the foot. You can see if these muscles were tight or if they were pulling inward, it would squeeze the toes together. And that affects the way that we can collapse the arch, roll onto the inner edge of the foot. So today's class is going to focus on how to stretch these with a combination of yoga postures and some myofascial release. And I think you'll find once you start to stretch these muscles, it'll start by feeling intensely so we'll say intense sensation, not pain. We want to operate within a place of sensation rather than pain. But these muscles you'll start to notice throughout the course of our practice. If they're shortened, you'll feel it. So going through some of the movements of the foot, this is absolutely incredible. When I started to explore this software, it really impressed me how these movements, you kind of have a sense that it's coming from structures that are lower down, but these movements are coming from the contraction of muscles that are connected all the way up the length of the lower leg bones, the tibia and the fibula. So this is foot inversion, which is the movement of rolling the inner arch of the foot upwards. And it is done by these muscles extending up the length of the tibia and the fibula and attaching to these tendons that connect to the toes, essentially, the metatarsals and the toes. So if you've ever rolled your ankle, it could be part of the mechanics are these muscles have become tight, and their opposing muscles, the eversion muscles, have become over time stretched. So let's look at foot eversion, and you can see again it's muscles that attach up the length of the tibia and the fibula, and they're pulling on these tendons that attach to the toes and the underside of the foot. And you have these other really powerful oh no, I'm going to pronounce that. There we go, like she said. Those provide support for these tendons. Amazing. And digital flexion. So you can see again this incredible network of muscles. And the underside of the foot looks so complex. And then lastly, digital extension. So pulling the toes upwards. And again, it has to do with muscles that extend up the length of the lower leg bones. So now that you have a picture in your mind of how the foot operates, we're going to jump to the yoga practice. I hope you really enjoy it. I'll see you there. And beginning your practice in a comfortable seated position, legs crossed, making your posture very upright, relaxing the shoulders and the arms. And with eyes closed, just taking a couple minutes to breathe, focus your attention on your body, scanning for any tension and releasing, starting with the neck. With the next exhale, moving your left ear to your left shoulder and feeling a stretch down the length of the right side of the neck and drawing the chin down towards the chest and up into neutral. Same thing opposite side, right ear, right shoulder, and then rolling the head forward and down and then back up through neutral. This time bigger circles, half moon. And from right side, chin to chest, and then all the way left ear to left shoulder. And just doing this a couple more times. Coming totally into the body. Now, taking your left ankle over the right thigh and interlacing your fingers in between your toes, drawing circles with the foot. The interlacing of the fingers in the toes stretches those muscles in the base of the foot. If you haven't done this before, it might feel intense, or you might even find you can't get your fingers in between the toes at all. That's okay. Just working to your capacity. And then, very important for all athletes, taking a moment to massage the feet. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Just aiming to give a little bit of attention to the ball of the foot, the muscles in the arch of the foot. And then switching to the opposite side. So right ankle over left thigh, interlacing fingers in between toes, and starting to draw circles in the air. Now every day, if you have the opportunity to do this before you put your boots on, it can be really, really valuable. And also massaging the right foot. In addition to supporting the healthy mechanics of the foot, just this simple action of massaging the foot improves balance it sensitizes the foot. And extending both legs straight forward, moving the foot through its full range of plantar flexion and dorsiflexion, pointing the toes, flexing the ankle. Now if the foot cramps, just stretch it out. Starting to make some rotational movements. Drawing circles in the air with the feet, and as much as possible spreading the toes apart with each revolution. Now switching directions, coordinating the movements so that both feet are moving the same direction at the same time. It looks simple, but it can be challenging. And just a couple more rotations. And then making your way onto all fours, moving any props out of the way. And in our all fours position, we align the wrists directly under the shoulders, the knees under the hips. With your inhale, lift the head, lift the tailbone. And as you exhale, arch your spine up. Inhale, curve the spine. Exhale, arch. With your inhale, sinking the middle back down, and with your exhale, draw the navel up towards the ceiling. Inhaling and exhaling. And one more time, each movement, inhale as you curve the spine. Exhale, round the spine, and then come into neutral, curling your toes underneath to lift the pelvis up and back. Keeping the knees bent for now, starting to encourage a stretch down the length of the whole of the back side of the legs. We press firmly into the heels of the hands, spreading the fingers wide for stability. And we'll start to intensify the stretch in the calf and the back of the knee by straightening the right knee, bending the left. And then switching, bend the right knee, straighten the left knee. And again, bending the left knee, straighten the right. And alternating one more time, bend right knee, straighten the left. And straightening both knees to your capacity. And then lowering your knees down, but keeping the toes curled under and heels pointed directly up towards the ceiling. Now slowly walking the hands backwards to bring the pelvis directly over your ankles. And as you do this already, you might start to feel a stretch. The whole length of the bottom of your feet, that's our goal. However, if it is really intense, feel free to come out of the pose at any time. If you want to go deeper, you can walk your hands up your thighs and bring the torso into an upright posture. But you don't have to go that far. As much as possible, keeping your breath fluid and easy. This will be a powerful stretch for the bottom of the feet. Now we come out of the pose and we circle the ankles 1 foot at a time, just to take some of the intensity out of that stretch. Switching to the opposite foot. And then placing the feet on the floor for a stretch of the opposite side. It works like this. Curling your left toes under, lifting up and back with the pelvis. But the right foot, toenail side, is pressing against the mat. Bending the right knee. As you start to straighten the right knee, you will feel a powerful stretch in the front side of the right foot. Bending the right knee. And then as you straighten, feeling that stretch in the front side of the foot, do this gently to begin. And switching sides. So right foot down. The left foot this time is toenail side down on the mat. Bending the left knee, right heel lowers. Straightening the left knee. The right heel will lift, and you'll find a good deep stretch for all of the tissue on the front side of the left foot. This is a really good counterbalancing pose. It's a part of the foot that we rarely stretch. If you have it, you can use a block in between your ankles or a pillow or a blanket to offer a little bit of height as you bring the pelvis down into thunderbolt pose. You may start to feel a stretch in the quadriceps, or you might not feel much of anything at all, but that's okay. Our aim is to stay in the posture with even pressure on the pinky toe and big toe side of both feet. This is a passive stretch, a gentle stretch, and an opportunity to practice focusing our attention on the breath. Now interlace your fingers behind your back and straighten your elbows to your capacity. Lift your chin up towards the ceiling and start to feel a stretch in the front of the chest and the front of your shoulders. Now these muscles are often shortened from the activities of our day-to-day life, driving, typing, holding ski poles. Now we're going to do the same thing, but just change the interlacing of the fingers now. And again, as you straighten the elbows, lift the gaze, drop the shoulders down, and enjoy the stretch in the front of the chest. At any point, if the knees start to feel uncomfortable, please feel free to come out of the pose. Moving back towards the all fours position, moving any props out of the way. And then curling your toes under, lift up and back into a triangle position with the body, downward facing dog pose. Look forward towards the top edge of your mat and walk your feet to meet your hands, coming into standing forward fold and wrapping your hands around your elbows. Now slowly come back up into a standing position in preparation for sun salutations. We'll do this together slowly, and then we'll repeat a little faster. We start with our feet hip distance and parallel at the top edge of the mat, arms resting at your sides, and inhale, raise arms up and overhead. Exhale, come down and forward into a standing forward fold position, and just pause and breathe. Feel free to bend your knees and step the left foot back far. Bring your left knee down and raise your arms up and overhead. We want to be conscious of the alignment of the right knee, having it directly over the center of the right foot. Now, lowering your hands, bring the right foot back to meet the left in a high plank position, and pause here. Engaging your core, breathing smoothly. Now, bending your knees, bring the knees to the floor, then the chest and the chin. Sweep the chest forward and up into cobra pose, but without pushing into the mat. Now curling your toes under, lift the pelvis up and back into downward facing dog pose. And again, just pausing to breathe. Feel free to bend the knees. Step your left foot forward, lower the right knee down, and raise your arms up and overhead. Now place the hands down, bring the right foot to the top of the mat, returning to standing forward fold. And then we bring the arms all the way up, and hands come down, arms resting at our sides. That is one full round of sun salutation. Now emptying the lungs. To inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale, hands come all the way down, standing forward fold. Inhale, right foot comes back, knee down, arms raise up and overhead. exhale, place the hands, step into plank, lower knees, chest, chin. Inhale, bring the chest forward and up, and exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, step the right foot in between the hands, left knee down, arms up and overhead. Exhale, hands come down, left foot comes forward, standing forward fold. Inhale, raise both arms up, and exhale, coming back to mountain pose, arms resting at your sides. Good job. Now inhaling, arms up and overhead, and exhale, hands come down to the mat. Inhale, step the right foot back, but this time pivot on the ball of the right foot, planting the right foot flat on the mat in about a 30-degree angle of turnout. As you bring your arms up and overhead, please bend the left knee, but no further than 90 degrees, sinking into Virabhadrasana A or Warrior One posture. Arms can be up and overhead or on your hips. The goal is to have enough muscular engagement to create a lightness to the pose and keeping the breath fluid and even. With your next exhale, place the hands down to the mat. Step the left foot back into downward facing dog, a triangle posture. Pausing for a breath. And then with your next inhale, right foot comes forward, this time churning out the left foot about 30 degrees. Arms come up and overhead. If the distance between the legs is too far, you can always adjust. Sinking down into the pose, but no further than 90 degrees with the front right knee, and squaring the front of the hips with the front edge of the mat. Deep, even breath, using just enough muscle to support the posture with effortlessness. One more cycle of breath. And then as you exhale, bring the hands down, step the right foot back into downward facing dog posture. Pausing here for a breath. And then walking the hands back to meet the feet, standing forward fold. Holding on to your elbows with your hands and just hanging over the legs. Releasing the arms and switching which forearm is in front to create symmetry in the body. And releasing the arms, roll up to standing. And make your way to the top edge of your mat, feet hip distance and parallel. And crossing your left ankle over your right thigh, hands in prayer position in front of your chest, bending the standing right knee to bring the torso forward and down slowly. Balancing on that standing right foot, putting your full attention into your balance. And then slowly coming up and out of the pose to switch sides. Crossing your right ankle over your left thigh, hands in prayer position, and then bending the left knee to sink down into this figure four posture. Using your full attention, you'll find that the muscles around the lower leg, all of those stabilizing muscles in the foot are going to be activating. And then slowly make your way out of the posture. Now we'll link together figure four and warrior one. Exhale, standing forward fold. Inhale, step the left foot back far, turn the left toes out, and bring arms up and overhead into Virabhadrasana A. Squaring the pelvis to the front edge of the mat and reach arms forward. Shift the weight into the right foot, lifting the left foot up and off the mat, drawing the leg forward, and hooking left ankle across the right thigh. Now slowly bend down into figure four posture. Full focus on your balance. In a moment, we reverse everything. So making sure that you're stable in your right foot. Same thing, opposite side. Inhale, arms up, and exhale, forward fold. Stepping the right foot back, turning the toes out, bringing arms up and overhead. Sinking down, no further than 90 degrees with the left knee. As you reach the arms forward, we lift the right foot up and swing the leg around, hooking right ankle over left thigh to sink down slowly into figure 4 posture. Now, if you wobble, if you fall out of the pose, that's totally okay. Just slowly return. And with time, this will become easy. And then coming out of the pose, just standing. And next, we're going to do a little bit of myofascial release work. Myofascial just means muscle and fascia or connective tissue release work. For this, you'll want to get a ball, either a tennis ball, a lacrosse ball if you have it. If you have a therapy ball for myofascial release, you can use that. And if you have none of those things, another thing you can use that's totally legit is a soup can. So take a moment to grab something like that now, please. Our aim for this work is really to massage the muscles and the connective tissue in the bottom of the feet. So you're just rolling your foot across the surface of the ball with a little bit of pressure. You can have more pressure or less as you need. And there's really no right or wrong way to do this. Let the sensations in the feet direct you to what part of the foot needs a little more attention. And then switching to the opposite side. So going back to the anatomy section, visualizing those muscles that make an inverted number 7. By using the lacrosse ball, we can stretch the toes apart, and by doing that, we stretch those muscles. Good. So moving the ball off to the side. We'll continue with a few more postures. These ones designed to strengthen the feet. So with your feet hip distance and parallel, make your posture as vertical as you can. Neutral spine, even pressure on the inner and outer edges of both feet. And for this, you might want to choose to have a chair or a wall nearby. Press the balls of the feet down to lift the heels up and then lower. Again, shift the body weight slightly forward, press into the balls of the feet. And if you lose your balance, that's totally okay. We're using the muscles in the bottom of the feet, the calf muscles, and really muscles throughout the body to lift up and then lowering down. Doing this a couple more times. Again, you want to go slowly and carefully. And then we're going to get a little fancy. Arms extending forward in space. Slowly, if you can, start to bend your knees. Bring your pelvis down. Then start to straighten the knees. The goal is to stay balanced on the balls of the feet the whole time. Now resetting for another round. Shift the weight forward and press up. Arms extending forward, and slowly start to bend the knees with control. Again, if this is new to you, please have a chair ready or be close to a wall so you can reach out and find something to balance with. Straightening the knees all the way back up, and then just lowering down. Coming back into a standing position to raise the arms up. And then we exhale, standing forward fold. Extend the right foot back far, but this time as we pivot on the foot, we pivot 90 degrees. Coming into a lunge position where the left knee is over the center of the left foot. And we extend our arms out over the legs in what's called Virabhadrasana B or Warrior Two posture, gazing over your left fingertips. As much as possible, dropping the shoulders away from the ears, sinking the pelvis down. And then we lower hands down, pivot on the ball of the back right foot. Shift the weight so that the left leg extends up and back. Now we're going to draw the left knee towards the right elbow. Small crunch move, and then inhale, extend the leg back up, and place the left foot on the mat. Switching it up, right foot comes forward. Pivoting on the ball of the left foot 90 degrees to windmill the arms up and open into Warrior Two posture, gazing over the right fingertips. Making sure you have even pressure on the inner and outer edge of the left foot. The standing postures are all about strengthening the legs. And it's also very much about alignment, finding the right alignment to make it easy. And as we bring the hands down, we move quickly through down dog and we extend the right leg up and bending the right knee, drawing it to the left elbow for a small crunch, and then extend the right leg back up and overhead, bringing the right foot down. Now lowering your knees, curling toenail side of the foot down, and then coming to sit on your heels. I was taking a moment to pause as we prepare to transition back to downward facing dog. Now we pick up the left leg and we bring the left knee directly in between the hands, lowering the right knee down and inching the foot back. We twist the torso in line with the front right corner of the yoga mat and bring the elbows down, making sure that the toenail side of the left foot is pressing down towards the mat. This is a variation of a popular yoga pose called pigeon pose. But in full pigeon pose, there is a tremendous amount of strain put on the knee. In yoga for athletes, we take small steps to achieve big gains, and we build over time. And so we're going to practice today this mild variation of pigeon pose. You may find that nothing is happening in the hip at all, but as we hold the pose over time, gravity does its magic, and we may start to feel a stretch. Let's switch to the opposite side. So this time bringing the right knee forward and down in between the hands. Turning the torso towards the front left corner of the mat, bringing your forearms down. The left leg is extended straight back. And the outer edge of the right hip is rolling down towards the mat. Pausing here and breathing. A huge component of yoga is just learning how to achieve a lot with little effort, but a great deal of focus on aligning the body. And just another cycle of breath. We shift the weight to the outer right hip and release the left leg, swinging it forward and coming into a seated posture with both legs straight. Now for this next bit, you may choose to have blocks available. We're going to bring the left shin parallel with the front edge of the mat, and then we stack the right leg on top. Right ankle over left knee over left ankle. If there's a space between the right knee and the left ankle, feel free to place a block or a blanket underneath to add support. Now notice how I place the blocks against my feet. This is to demonstrate that I want my feet aligned as if I was standing on a flat surface. How I replace the blocks with my arms, and I draw my arms in as I resist back with my toes. Coming into a forward fold, this is called Agnisthambasana, stacking the fire logs pose, and it is a powerful stretch for the hips. If it's too intense, feel free to take a break. And we pause in this posture, not trying to force anything. Good. Now shaking out the legs, we prepare to switch to the other side. The right leg is down, right shin parallel with the front edge of the mat. Left ankle over right knee, left knee over right ankle, stacking the legs. Now, again, if there's a space, feel free to support with the prop, and then wrapping the arms around the feet. The feet resist back against the arms. And we just breathe deeply and slowly in this forward fold, hip opening posture. You may notice that one hip is a lot more open than the other. That's totally okay. And in fact, that's very valuable information for an athlete to gain. It may be an indication that something about your technique in your sport is more dominant on one side than the other. Now coming out of this pose, extending legs straight forward. And the next prop you may choose to grab is a belt or a yoga strap if you have it. Or a house coat belt will do, or any other kind of strap you may have lying around. Create a loop in one end and wrap it around your foot. Now, with the loop wrapped around my right ankle, you can see that enables me to come into a prone position with my knee bent, and my hands can gently draw my right ankle over the right buttocks, creating a stretch in the front of the right thigh, the quadricep muscles. Now the beautiful thing about modifying this pose with a belt is I can give myself more room. But if you're someone who can reach back and take hold of the ankle with your hand, you can totally do it that way as well. Resting your forehead on your left forearm. And now releasing to switch to the other side. We wrap the belt around the left foot and come onto our side, bending the left knee, heel towards left buttock, and then rolling into a prone posture where your hands can guide the belt, deepening the pose, but without putting too much strain on your knee. A lot of people, they'll try to reach back and grab the ankle right away, but they may not possess the flexibility and they can put torque into the knee joint. We don't want that. Feel free to go easy first. And then over time, as the body allows, maybe reaching back to take hold of the left ankle with the left hand. And preparing to move out of the pose, we release the ankle. And just allow the leg to come back down. Coming back up and onto your side, removing the belt or yoga strap. And then making your way into diamond pose or Baddha Konasana. Soles of the feet are touching, the knees fall open and down towards the floor. Posture is very upright with a neutral spine, and then holding onto your ankles with your hands. If you find that as you sit in this posture that your body wants to roll backwards, feel free to move the feet further away from you to make it a little easier. If the body allows, you can deepen the pose by coming into a slight forward fold. Now releasing that posture. Here is another variation. We'll repeat the same thing, but observe the difference that a blanket makes. When a blanket is placed underneath your sits bones, under your pelvis, it elevates the pelvis just that little bit that allows you to come into a forward fold with the torso a lot more easily. And so much of our training life is effort. In yoga, what we want is ease. Now, coming out of that second repetition, squeezing the arms around your hamstrings and just rocking back, stretching the low back muscles. And then coming off of the blanket to make your way onto your back and hugging your knees into your chest, rocking side to side, releasing any tension in the sacrum, that triangular bone at the bottom of your spine. And then extend the right leg straight. Draw the left leg across the midline of the body, making your way into a twist. Left arm extends out to your side. If this puts too much strain on your low back, feel free to do a variation where both knees are bent, coming out of the pose, setting up for the opposite side, a little rocking on the sacrum. And then we allow the legs to fall to the left, turning to gaze at the right arm. And in this variation, stacking both legs one on top of the other, just a little bit less twist, a little less strain in the low back. And then bringing the knees into the chest one more time, giving yourself a big squeeze. And then coming out of that posture. Feel free to drape the body in a blanket for this last but most important part of our yoga practice today, Shavasana, corpse pose. Lying on your back, close your eyes. Allow your feet to flop open from the midline of the body. Arms are resting easily at the side of your body, palms turned upwards. And just lying on your back, allowing all of your muscles to relax, not needing to breathe in any particular conscious way, letting the breath be natural and easy. You may notice after a short while lying here that the attention will wander. This is a normal attribute of the human mind. But when you notice the mind has wandered, just gently draw your attention back to your next breath. Anchor your attention with the breath. Feel your body heavy against the floor. And one of the most underappreciated but desperately valuable skills that any athlete can cultivate is the skill of deep recovery, deep rest. The best way to rest is to just let the body do what it does naturally. Just breathe. And coming out of this, we stretch our arms overhead and draw our knees up to our chest. Roll to the right side and use your hands to press yourself back up into a seated cross-legged position. To close this practice, thank you so very much for your attention, for your effort. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day.